Yeah.
So you
Yeah, I was still
same
wearing the
clothes?
same clothes that that work clothes from that day.
But you
now, my brother had the presence of mind when I came back. He had me take all of those clothes, put them in a clean bag, seal it up. These are going to be for examination later. But there was such a hellfire after us for days. I mean, when I went to do the MRI,
yeah.
we were driving out of the parking lot, and there he is, they screamed, and followed us through traffic. It was just crazy, the level of fear. And I think, although I know my fear was explainable, justifiable under the circumstances, I try to downplay that because I'm not trying to tell a spooky story. I'm trying to tell people, look, NASA told us just this last year, see, there's been this thing called the Drake equation. It's an estimation of the number of possible habitable planets in our galaxy. Well, they didn't know what numbers to plug in. How many stars have planets? Well, this last year, NASA said, we now can say with great confidence that every star has about a dozen planets. And they do this on the basis of, they can't actually see the planets, but they see this rhythmic dimming that a planet going between us and the star will dim it by a certain percentage of luminosity. So they say it's a virtual certainty that every star has about a dozen planets. So that raises the number of possible civilizations in our galaxy, in the universe, astronomically. No pun intended.
Yeah.
But based on the estimated age of these star systems, some of them are actually vastly older than us. Now, I make the point that there's probably some aliens who are cave aliens, but those are not the ones that are coming here, you know?
Yeah.
The ones that are way, way, way ahead of us have somehow figured out how to make the giant leap between there and here.
Yeah. I want to take it back to being inside that craft. So you remember lashing out at them. You remember swinging at them with this rod that you found. And what do you remember after that?
Well, the feeling of suffocation may have been some inadequacy of the atmosphere in there. It may have been some kind of injury from being blasted in the chest area. That's where they said the beam hit me, impairing my ability to breathe in some way.
There was no damage to your clothes?
No balls or anything like that.
There was damage on your body that you could see? Was there...
No, it's just the only trace of prior injury would be, some dehydration. But other than that, just the MRI.
So you have this moment where you lash out at them with this clear rod, and then what happens? You feel like you're...
Suddenly retreat. They leave the room. I come up with a theory. It's just my theory that this squirmy feeling in my head had to do with them trying to gain some sort of control or message of soothing or some kind of telepathic sort of thing that wasn't working. And that would be because I was hit with this blast of energy.
So describe it like you felt like they were trying to communicate with you?
Well, it was jumbled. It was squirmy. That's the best I can describe it.
You're full of anxiety and fear.
And I didn't feel reassured by what I was feeling. It was horrible.
But what would make you think that they were trying to reassure you, though?
Well, I and little clues that have come to me over the years, I don't believe that they were intent on causing harm, that there was... that they're benign. And I know that's not popular with a whole lot of people who study this subject, but I've had 45 years to think about it, and I really don't think so. A lot of people are very disappointed when I say that. They're not Hollywood's invading monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Think of them as those people from way over there that we don't know too much about. And I think people are kind of disappointed when I say that. I think they want it to be horrific, and yeah, it was for me, but unwarranted.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I don't want them to be.
Look, if they survived this long, I mean, we've got the technology that we could destroy entire cities, just us, you know.
Right.
I'm sure they would have the technology. They would have obliterated themselves if they were had the character that we have. But I think they're wise not to. They tell me, hey, if this is real, how come they don't just land on the White House lawn and say, we come in peace? You know, that's not going to work. I guarantee you. They look at us and they see savages. And that's what we are.
Rightly so.
As a species, we're savages.
Well, see what happened on Capitol Hill just a couple of weeks ago. I mean, that looked pretty fucking savage.
Totally insane.
Insane.
And
so if they see like that happening to our halls of government, they're probably...
I think they can predict fairly accurately what would happen if they did try to make open contact, and I don't think it'd be very pretty.
I don't think we're ready.
No, not at all.
But I think we can be ready.
First thing people want is, give us free energy. Give us the weapon that will destroy our enemies.
Right.
You know?
Stop.
But here again, these little guys who look so different from us. Look at how we treat each other horribly on the basis of superficial appearance. Here, they look that different from us. People might be real thrilled with the novelty at first, but if they were moving amongst us and like that, the discrimination would be exponentially greater with them.
Yeah. So you said you felt like you were suffocating. You felt like they were trying to soothe you and calm you down, but it wasn't working.
Yeah, I was definitely not going to equate with them.
But what was the feeling like? You said it was jumbled, like they were trying to send you a message, but it was jumbled.
Yeah, I was having trouble focusing my brain. I felt not fully awake, but this adrenaline was driving a very awakened feeling, but I wasn't thinking clearly at all.
But what makes you like they were trying to communicate with you or trying to calm you down?
That's just what I think about, years of meditating on what my impression was. At the time, it was total fear, total feeling of being threatened. And I think that's the reason this entity came in that looked human. Now,
how human?
Pretty human. You'd pass in a crowd.
Like me, like a normal human.
Yeah. And I think that they come up with this. Now, they knew I wasn't going to trust them. And if they didn't get something or someone that I would trust, that I would die. So they enlisted the help of it could be that there are human-like species visiting. I believe there's quite a variety of species of aliens. Or perhaps they came up with some artificial human-looking creation that I would trust and take me out of the craft.
How much had passed between you lashing out, them trying to calm you down, and this human-like creature coming into the room?
I was just trying to find a way out, and he came in, and I assumed he was human.
How much time passed?
Just minutes.
Minutes.
And when he wanted me to go with him,
what did he look like?
He looked like somebody I would trust, right?
Was he dressed? How was he dressed?
He's wearing a blue uniform, top and bottom.
A uniform like?
It looked like a uniform, but maybe it was just blue clothing, but there was no insignia, no, flags or anything like that.
Like a hospital gown, like a surgeon's outfit?
It was more tight. He was extremely strong looking.
So he like an athletic human being.
Yeah. And
what
I
color
was the
hair?
athletic at the time, and maybe that's what it took in case I was combative with him.
Did he have hair?
Yes, kind of longish hair.
Like a hippie?
Probably a lot longer than mine, but...
what color hair?
It was a light color. It wasn't blonde, but it was a real light brown.
So it could have passed for a human being.
He could walk through. Nobody would raise an eyebrow. that was probably the intent. Now, whether it was synthetic or there's species out there that look like us, I don't know.
So what happens when you encounter this person?
He was in a hurry to get me out of there. When we exited this craft.
So what happened? Like, you see him, and then what happens?
I started screaming. I was still totally hysterical, asking questions, and I wasn't getting any answer.
Like, what kind of questions?
Well, what am I doing here? What are these things? What happened here? Just one question after another. And he didn't seem inclined to answer, and he was wearing a helmet, a clear helmet. Whether that had to do with the atmosphere in there or
like a
COVID-type precautions or something.
I'm sure. Helmet, like a fishbowl?
Yeah.
Like the whole thing's a dome over his whole head?
Yeah. He took me out of there. I was only too willing to go if he's going to take me out of there. And
he's talking to you?
No, nothing. And I kept asking questions.
But he put his hands on you?
He took me.
Touch you, and then he moves you out of there.
There's all kinds of theories.
You don't fight against when he's touching you?
Yeah. People think, well, maybe they hypnotically made you believe that one of them looked like a human. But I think that's unlikely because the original problem was that energy had scrambled my brain, and I wasn't in a kind of condition where that was going to work.
So how does he takes you by the arm, and what made you go with him? What made you not want to resist and fight him?
There's something familiar. My entire surroundings were threatening to me at the time. So he took me out of there.
Did he give you like a facial chair? Did he like make any kind of like...
Actually, there was a little bit of a smile, but totally uninclined to talk or say more than that. But the fact that we're moving quickly, I took that to be kind of...
I don't have an email. There was a few holdouts. Yeah. Those fucking people are all on board now. It just took a decade. Yeah. It took a little while. What if that's the future of this symbiotic interaction that we have with technology? I think it is. I think that's where we're going. Yeah. And my fascination with these UAPs and with this idea that we're being visited by these things from, I almost feel like they're cultivating us. I almost feel like they're watching us, like whatever they are, that they're just making sure we don't blow ourselves up along the process. Because one of the things that has been discussed by many people that have experienced these things on military bases is their ability to shut down bases. Their ability to shut down like these nuclear facilities. And that you got to think that if they were going to wonder about any one particular thing that we have access to, it's being in this transitionary period between having these primate instincts and applying them to spectacular technology in a brutish, horrific way. Like we're worried about right now with Russia. We're worried that Putin, because all the horrific things that are happening already in Ukraine, the bombings and the drone strikes and possibly the use of hypersonic missiles, what if that's applied to nuclear weapons? And what if we're dealing with a nuclear holocaust? I mean, that's really what we're worried about. And I wonder if that's what they're monitoring.
You asked earlier about the why now part, right? But, there's a lot of stuff happening, right? There's climate, there's war, there's everything. It feels like we're accelerating towards something, right? And technology, not least of all, moving us towards, what some people call the singularity. Maybe they're all here to watch the birth in a sense. I think the hope would be that we would be part of that birth, as you described, to integrate with the artificial intelligence. I know that there's efforts to consider the moral and ethical application of artificial intelligence, but are we fooling ourselves? Is that, are we going to have the options of maintaining an ethical AI once it's been created? Is it possible to create safeguards and transition past, or into the singularity and allow it to keep in mind human interest once it's already become sentient, if that can happen? One thing that you mentioned about artificial intelligence and, if that is the output of our for advancement, how does that change for the world, right? There would only be one general artificial intelligence, I would assume, because anything that would be created afterwards, if it was not a secret, would be assumed the primary AI.
Right.
So this kind of ties into a thought I've had before about, maybe the way we're interacted with UAP, or we're going to make the assumption that they're coming from another planet right now. And so with that assumption, perhaps as societies mature, like you described, they do start to, advance their sociological side, start to work better as a group. They, remove some of those more animalistic urges that they evolved with, right? And that remained when they got the gods, if you will, right? Once they had technology, but were still, covered by their primal urges. You very well be right. There's that transitional period that we live in at this. Maybe that adds to a lot of the hecticness of our current days. But what if those other planets, since they have realized, they interact with us as a planet, as an entity, if that's the way their society has evolved in a sense, more collaborative and less argumentative, then they may approach us as, as the planet versus a country, right, or individual to individual. They might assume, since the best things can only happen when the most people work together, right, in a sense. If we can assume that, if you and I work together, Joe, we can do more than just if either of us worked alone, right?
Yes.
Like if we make that assumption, we apply that to a planet, it would make that, if there are a bunch of species out there that if they survived, they would have worked together, learned how to work together, right?
Yeah.
And they assume that of us. They're like, oh, wow, look, they have all these cool tools. They must have moved to that point where they know how to work together.
Do you think that? I think they would think that. I think they'd watch us and they'd go, oh, look at these crazy fucks.
Well, that's why
Like,
we're
they're not ready
anomaly,
yet.
right? That's
Yeah.
why we're anomaly, because we do have tools, and yet we're...
Aykroyd's crazy into UFOs. He's like one of the main celebrities they pull up when people start talking about like UFO real believers. He's done like little clips where he narrates things, UFO shows and shit. He fucking believes.
Well, didn't they just release that there's even more belief now about UFOs?
Yeah, fun. I don't know if it's real, but it's fun. That's how I feel.
Doug, I did a podcast with Jim Florentine, and I explained to Jim Florentine that what people don't know is that Hudson County, New Jersey, northern New Jersey, is the number one place in the country where they have the most UFO sightings.
Really? Northern New Jersey.
Look it up, Jamie, if you get a minute, please, not to be rude.
But isn't that like near a couple airports?
No, it's closer to like like when you live in New York City and you look at the Hudson River. Mm-hmm. They say that people go on their balcony, they're drinking coffee, they're talking on the phone, and then they'll see a little flying saucer go by.
Really?
And I know for a fact that in 1976,
A little one?
whatever the fuck they are, I know for a fact that in 1975 and 1976, you could check me out on this. A UFO landed in Hudson County Park. I was a kid, and the next day the feds locked off the park. They had yellow tape. They had samples. Go look it up, dog. There's a UFO. You see that's called, North Bergen is where I'm from. That's called, I forget what, but it's a circular building. They did so much coke in there in the 80s, they called it the grinder. That's what they called it, because it was shaped like the Stonehenge. The Stonehenge. I have a couple friends that lived there. People that lived in that building have seen UFOs for fucking years. And if you go to YouTube, there's an actual North Hudson Park UFO. Wow. They dug up, they came out to there's a liquor store. And the liquor store guy says he's seen the lights. Mm-hmm. You heard like the organ music that they play. Ooh. They landed. A couple Martians got out and took samples and got back in the thing and took off. There's a YouTube thing. There's a History Channel special about it. And I still remember being a young kid.
Did you find anything, Jamie?
That was what's popping up, all that stuff about that building. And
oh, yeah. No.
Is there anything that says a UFO landed?
That's the story I'm reading right now is what he's saying, yeah.
And witnesses. It's not just one guy that says, I know UFO. It's people who got knocked on the door and said, did you see anything at 11:10 at night? And they said, you know what? There were lights flashing outside. They contacted police departments to see if there was any. They went full. Then the FBI came in, circled the park. It was by the Little League field in Hudson County. But it is, like you'd think it was Area 51. You'd think it was close to northern Las Vegas. The number one place to see UFOs is northern New Jersey. They even made a reference to it in The Sopranos. when he said something. He goes, "What are you talking about? Last week you said you seen a UFO in Hackensack." Because that's where they're at. Hackensack, Moonachie.
Right.
All those. You ever go to Moonachie, New Jersey? A lot of ugly
Yeah.
people. A lot of people with big heads. The only good thing in Moonachie, New Jersey is fucking Segovia, Spanish restaurant. It's been there since 19 fucking Schlemensky. I don't know. But that's the only good thing about Moonachie. I think those people in Moonachie have been abducted. There you go. And they back as big-headed motherfuckers.
I did a gig there a couple times.
Yeah, there used to be like a bar. There's a bar that did something in Moonachie.
Was that a Bob Gonzo gig?
Yeah, outside the Sea Caucus.
Was it?
Yeah, it's outside. No. I think Bob is more down the shore and
He
stuff.
had a but. Well,
Gigs all over
He had
the
gigs
place.
all over, Bob. How I met Bob was he did a gig in Romano's Italian restaurant in my hometown. And my buddy's like, "Hey, aren't you a comedian? Let's take you up there." And we went up there, and Bob's like, "I don't know him." You know, he's an unknown. And next thing Bob came up to me, he's like, "Dog, I got to put you up because my friends threatened me." So Bob put me up, and we've become friends ever since.
That's awesome.
I think I follow him on Facebook. We have a chat from time to time on Facebook. But yeah, for you UFO motherfuckers, look into northern New Jersey. That's the fucking motherload of them.
That's interesting. I had before, but I kind of
There
like
you go. He won.
51 UFO sightings in 2018. You get biased because the story is always some person in the woods and they get abducted. They see a UFO in some strange town in the middle of nowhere. The aliens land, abduct people. You always think about it being a rural thing. But if I was an alien, of course I'd go to New York City. Of course I'd go to New Jersey. What the fuck? Why wouldn't you? You want to go see the craziest thing we have? You got like 7 million people stuffed together on a fucking tiny island in comparison to the rest of the planet. Stuff stacked on top of each other. Awesome, amazing buildings. All these lights at Times Square. Look at all these people mulling around, traveling over these bridges to get to this one hub, this one hive of humanity. Of course, if I was an alien, I would check that out.
Well,
Why would I look at a barn? You know what I mean?
He used to joke that the United States is the Tijuana
Of outer space.
of outer
yeah.
space. Like they're like, "What are we doing this weekend? We're going to
Yeah,
fucking."
they come down when they're fucking. They want to
Yeah,
see a show.
they wanna-
That was the whole bit. Is that I think aliens come here when they're high. They just get fucked up. They're like, "Come on, let's go check out the monkeys. Let's go, dude. Come on, let's abduct a couple of them. Have a good time. Let's go
That's
see the
crazy.
monkey
You'd never
people."
think- I never saw a fucking UFO.
I want to. I never know.
I want to land and I want to see one of those green dudes get out. So I can.
I think I thought I saw some shit when I was a kid, but as I got older, I thought that was like a fighter jet or something. That's what that was. Like there was something that, God, it's a real sketchy memory. It's one of those memories that's like barely active. But I remember thinking for like a day or two when I was like a little kid, maybe I saw a UFO. But I think I was trying to convince myself of it. You know, I was bored. But I think it was a jet. I think it was something fast and unusual. Have you ever seen one of those stealth bombers? That looks like a fucking UFO. Have you ever seen one of those things in the sky?
No, yes.
It looks like a Star Wars
like when you go to
movie.
like a Blue Angel fucking thing. Those
Yeah,
planes.
they'll
that they
probably...
use.
No, those are like... I think those are FA-18s. That's what I think it is. I think that's what that is. I flew in one of those. I had a bit about that, too. Yeah, you got to do that. You hold on to the hand. You got to do it. You hook. You either hold on to your handle if you're steering the plane, or you hold on to your straps if you're a passenger. I was in the passenger seat, so I grabbed a hold of my straps, and you have to go like this, hoot, 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 and you have to force blood into your brain to stay awake. That's how much G-force you're going through. It's insane.
Force blood into
Yeah.
your brain to stay awake.
See, that's one of those stealth bombers. I saw one of those air over, I guess it's Edwards Air Force Base. Is that what the one it is? That's Edwards, the one that's out near Palmdale? I think that's it.
Yeah.
Because we used to film Fear Factor in Palmdale, and we saw that thing fly overhead like that. Look at that thing. Tell me that doesn't look like it's from another planet. When you're on the ground and you see that fly overhead, you're like, what the fuck is that? So I think that's responsible for a bunch of the things that people saw. I think it's military crafts.
Can I ask you a question on that article you pulled up to 51 sightings? What type of sightings do you
Look
have?
at this fucking thing.
What is considered a sighting?
Well, the thing is, like, you just see shit. But how do you know if... What are you doing, Jim?
These are the sightings.
Okay, but go back to that video. Look at that thing. I mean, come on. If you're just sitting on the ground, you saw that, you're like, they're coming! The aliens are coming! That does not look like it's from this world. That thing is madness.
Especially with those two guys next to him.
God, it's fucking beautiful, though. Like, what an amazing design. That thing flying through, it looks like something on a keyboard. You know, it looks like a symbol on a keyboard. And it's just flying perfectly through the air. That looks like the future. I mean, that really does look like it's from another world. I would imagine, like, little blue dudes with black eyes and talking to each other in that thing. Going through fucking wormholes and shit. I mean, that's what that thing looks like. And what's the thing that they're going to have 100 years from now? Just imagine that.
Yeah, I just want to know what the logistics is for it to be considered a legitimate sighting.
Legitimate sighting?
Legitimate sighting.
It just means it's saw it. You know, you don't, like, if you're a lawyer, okay, and you see something, and then you convince yourself that what you saw was something extraordinary, and you have the feeling that you're looking at something from another world. But if it's just some drone or some military vehicle, and then you look at it, and then you convince yourself, then it becomes a bigger and bigger deal in your head. That's a problem with people. It doesn't mean that everybody that sees something is seeing that, but people are kind of full of shit.
Well, let's say there's a 100 call Martian. Mm-hmm. All right. I see a fucking thing. I call that thing.
1-800 call Martian.
Yeah, call Martian. Okay, whatever the fuck.
Okay.
1-800 Martian.
Right.
The phone won't stop ringing. Okay, the phone won't stop ringing. It'll never stop ringing.
There'll be people talking to Martians.
My concern is, when do they consider it credible? What does it take for it to be credible? For me, for it to be credible, I got to see the motherfucker land, get out.
My take is usually military guys. When you have military fighter pilots, that's an extraordinary human. If you can be one of those guys that flies one of those B-2s, for them to trust you with that $1 billion fucking spaceship, dude, you got to be an exceptional human. There's no room for someone who's full of shit. You're going to be a top flight fighter pilot. You're going to fly around with gunfights in the sky, because that's what they do. They have gunfights in the fucking sky. Those guys are exceptional human beings. So when they see something, that's when I listen, for sure. Everybody else, I'm not that I wouldn't listen, but I don't know. You know, you might be crazy. But you might be crazy even if you're in the military. You might be crazy if you're a fighter pilot. It's 100% possible.
So those pilots and all those Air Force pilots that do test runs or whatever, they say that they see things?
There's a bunch of sightings. Not only a bunch of sightings, there's a bunch of sightings from the really credible guys. What is this? Fleet of UFOs followed U.S. aircraft Navy pilot says.
Yeah,
May
this is
29th.
what I'm talking about.
See, these that are talking about these things, these aren't guys with histories of embellishing things. They have this, whatever that is. Is that radar? What are they looking at? Is that infrared? Like, what is that screen that they're looking for? Does it say what kind of image it is? Because it's like a weird look. It's not like a photograph, right? It's like a weird computer image. Because it's detecting it, right, with some piece of equipment, right? Isn't it? Like tracking it on radar or something like that?
I know what you're saying, because I feel like I've heard that description of it too, but this article just says it's video of 2 aerial encounters.
That's tremendous.
But that video doesn't look very clear. Why isn't it clear? My phone does a better job than that shit.
They don't have very good cameras on those.
Cameras,
they have good. I didn't mean they don't have good ones, but like in order to catch movement at that high speed up there, yada yada, all that stuff.
Oh, so it would require some exceptional gear.
I think, and it could have also been at night. I don't know what time of day it was.
So convenient. So convenient that they never have a clear picture. That drives me fucking crazy. It drives me fucking crazy, because if it is real, I want it to be real. Honestly, I really do. But when I look at it, I go, God damn, so many people are so crazy and so many people are so full of shit.
You personally believe, and so do I,
dun, dun, dun.
that there's other galaxies out there. There has to be.
Well, there are definitely galaxies, other civilizations.
Other civilizations.
Yeah.
Some form, somewhere. Out of the 9 planets, there's got to be something.
Brian,
I don't know what. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what they're called or whatever, but there has to be something. At this point, you have to believe that.
The universe is big. It's just too big to discount, to say, nope, I doubt it. Like, that's so crazy to say. Just because we haven't seen it yet, it's so big.
There's the explanation of what he caught and what.
He said that though track equipment, radar, and infrared cameras on his aircraft detected UFOs both times, he was unable to capture them on his helmet camera. Okay.
So maybe he couldn't look at it get it and good vision or whatever. I don't
Maybe.
know. Yeah. I don't-
Yeah.
Or that's a good reason why.
I would imagine as fast as those goddamn things are going, it must be really hard to get a camera
what
to
he
be able
just
to
says
constantly
there?
focus in and out. And
It's interesting. He says that Lieutenant Ryan Grimes, the
Graves?
a squadron of UFOs followed his Navy strike group up and down the eastern coast of the U.S. for months. That's, I'm telling you, that
Yeah.
little fuck. I read something about the Hudson River, that all those people that live across the Hudson River, whether on the Weehawken and Edgewater side or the west side of Manhattan, those are where the people on their balconies see all that shit.
Look at this shit. We did issues with them when we went to the Middle East, Lieutenant Graves said. Imagine them following the war. Imagine if they were alien and they came down to follow the war. So they see the war going on in Iraq,
How crazy is that?
Afghanistan. They come down and they're checking it out.
Just to go on the cynical side of this, they're not necessarily saying they are an alien ship. They're saying it's a UFO, so it's something they're not sure of. What if
course.
it's some sort of awesome drone that some Middle Eastern company has and it can just follow shit or
Possible.
move faster or something? Who
Sure.
knows? I don't know.
That would be the more likely
Yeah.
explanation,
I guess.
right? Terrestrial would be more likely that someone has advanced shit. We know they have advanced shit. I mean, we know they have incredible drones. You know, I mean, the
Right.
stuff that they can do.
Sorry, they got drones. The SEALs. You put razor blades on them, and they slit your fucking throat when you're driving. That's how good the technology is on those drones.
Jesus Christ. I wouldn't be shocked if they
That
could
they-
do all kinds of things that
You
we
could
can't
be
expect.
standing there, and they could take the drone to just come down.
Yeah.
And fucking, they put razor blades on them or some shit.
Well, you could totally see someone having a small drone, like a small thing, like the size of a burger, that has poison in it, and you just slam it into somebody. I could see that. But you're seeing, when you're seeing stuff that's flying around the sky, most likely is made by a person, because people make stuff, and people know how to make stuff that flies around the sky. But then when you get to shit that like defies physics, like some of the things these fighter pilots see, that's when you got to go, wait a minute. You see these extraordinary feats of traversing distances, like they can get from one place to another place so fast it looks like they disappear. This is something they all talk about. They all talk about the insane speed at which these things can go. They can just change angles. They can just go and then take a hard right angle turn. They can do stuff that nothing that we know how to make can do. That's where it gets to be like, whoa, like nothing. It's not like it's like, oh, that's like a fighter jet, but like really fast. You know what I'm saying? It's like an alien car. Oh, it's like a car, but it's way faster. Like it's an alien car. But this is not like anything that we make. These fucking things, they fly this way, they say, flat, like a plate hovering over the ground. But when they go to fly, when they go to take off, they flip up sideways. And they have like the bottom of the spaceship is pointing towards where it wants to go. And it does something to space and time, make some sort of fucking magnetic gravity connection, insert big spooky words, whatever. They don't know how the fuck it does it, right? This thing can go like insane distances in insanely small amounts of time. Then when they all report the same kind of behavior of these, I mean, so many of these reports are like that. They're talking about this thing that goes insanely fast, turns on its side. It looks like a Tic Tac. It looks like a saucer. It looks like they're trying to figure out what the fuck the shape is because it's moving so goddamn fast. But it's doing stuff that nothing we know how to make can do. I don't know if it's from another planet. It might be from here, but it's exciting. It's exciting shit. I want it to be from another planet. That's what I want, like unbiased, like what I would love it. Just be completely honest. I would love it if it was aliens. But if it was people, I'd be even more scared because like, goddamn, people can do that. People can do that, and no one knew. Like if you can imagine a person who can make a spaceship that defies all of the rules that we know about travel, about air travel. If they can make something that defies all that shit and somehow or another keep the whole development and production of it a secret and then have this thing and take it off and no one knows how the fuck they did it, that's almost more impressive than aliens. Because that's what these things are doing is so if these pilots are accurately reading what's happening and they're telling the truth, The thing that's remarkable is their stories are very consistent. There's a lot of very similar stories from different people that they make a living flying super fast warships. They see things. They know what the fuck they're looking at. They see something they don't know. They're like, what in the fuck is that? When they see something like that, that freaks me out. That's when it gets me. Because when some fucking kid's riding his bike to school and he looks up and he sees a UFO, okay, maybe it did happen. Maybe it did happen. Maybe the kid's being 100% honest. Or maybe he was bored. Maybe he was bored and decided to make up a crazy story and stuck with it. And then after a while telling it, maybe he believed it himself. That happens too. People see things. They don't know what they're seeing and they decide that it's a different thing. I've said this before, but it's a true story. When I was in Alberta, there's wolves there. And I thought I saw a wolf for like a whole second. It was a squirrel. It was a fucking squirrel. But I saw gray fur movement wolf squirrel. Like, if you're dumb or if you're compromised or if maybe you're a little drunk, maybe you're a little tired, maybe you just saw something that looked really weird because of, whatever weather conditions that are affecting some part of the world you live in. There's things called ball lightning, flies through the air. It looks like a UFO. You ever see that shit? It's like a real natural phenomenon. Somebody might see something like that and then add a bunch of other shit to it. And that's where you get a lot of these stories. You get like natural phenomenon and then people adding a bunch of shit to things. But then on top of that, you have credible stories. And you can't throw out any of them. Like it's when you look at all these things, you can't decide just because there's a bunch of crackpot stories about UFOs that the ones by legitimate fighter pilots, that those aren't real. You can't look at it that way. It's crazy to look at it that way because it's more likely there's something out there than there isn't something out there. It's way more likely.
When I was a kid and that happened in Hudson Park, I wrote it off. I didn't even pay attention. I remember riding my bike up there, seeing the Fed tape and seeing people with those orange protective suits on.
Yeah.
And I was like, these people are fucking out of my mind. Then one night I got high, 5 or 6 years ago, and I saw it. And somebody had posted on Facebook or YouTube. And I read more and more into it. And I discounted it until I read the accounts of the 28 people.
Yeah.
In that building, the liquor store, there was a guy who had just got dropped off a bus from New York. There's buses drop you off there from New York. Mm-hmm. The bus driver said there was a flash. He couldn't, there were just so many people with stories that, they didn't see a fucking guy get out. Only 3 people saw people get out. Mm. Everybody else discounted the lights and the noise and the other bullshit that went with it. I would have shit my fucking pants if I lived in that building and saw 3 little Martians get out. Or it could just be fucking, who knows? Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, man.
I just wanted to tell you that's where
people can get freaked out, and they can, they can think all kinds of things that didn't really happen.
Hey, one was on acid. I thought it was I thought the FBI was out there with dogs. And the next day, it was fucking a fire hydrant, all right? I dumped an ounce of Coke down the toilet.
Oh, my God.
Because I hallucinated. Because when you're doing Coke for more than fucking 10 hours, you start hallucinating. I started hallucinating. I thought it was fucking dogs and it was a fire hydrant. You know how stupid I felt the next day? Pretty fucking stupid. Pretty fucking stupid. I sat there and I went over and petted the hydrant. You fuck. You fuck.
This is a problem with any story, like all these fucking UFO stories. It's people's memory. Memory's not that good. It's just not that good. It's too hard to figure out what it actually looked like after you saw it. Like you see something crazy like a year ago, and then you try to describe it. It's too hard to describe. Like you barely remember it. Your version of it is a rehashed version that you keep repeating to yourself. If you saw something, like say if you were hiking and you saw a wolf, right? If you saw that wolf, when you try to describe that moment you saw that wolf years later, like what are you actually seeing when you're going into your memory? How accurate is it? We're always lying about how accurate our memory is. It's not that good.
Like if you did see a wolf, which is an extraordinary moment, right? You're in the fucking forest. You're like, it's a fucking wolf. That's a wolf. And you see a real wolf looking down on you, a wild motherfucker in the woods of Canada, just looking at you, staring at you on a trail. Like that's an extraordinary moment. But if you try to recount that in your mind 10 years later, what do you actually see? How much do you actually see? You see this blurry, weird, fucking misty version, and you've got some words that fall into place that can describe it. But how accurate is your fucking memory? It's terrible. Statistics.
Okay.
Like I can tell you about fights. I can tell you what year someone fought. I can tell you how this guy won and how he beat this many guys with a triangle, and I remember things. But if I actually have to remember what it actually looked like in my head, I can't really pull that up. I barely can pull it up. I see it, I'll recognize it again. Like you show me Joe Schilling knocking out Melvin Manhoef in Bellator. I watched that KO so many times. A wild, crazy slugfest. And if I see it, I'm watching it happen in a video. I remember it. Yep, this is how it goes. Here it goes. Boom! He KOs him. But if I had to just pull that out of my brain right now, it's not good. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if I have to close my eyes and pretend I saw Mike Tyson knock out Michael Spinks, I kind of can see little flashes. I can kind of remember weird little parts of it. I remember the final right hand. Boom! He just sends him flying through the ropes. It was chaos. It was just like he's the best ever. But if I had to play it back in my head, it wouldn't be nearly as good as a video. Like we have different shaped aircrafts and fighter jets and cars. They probably have different shapes of these objects that operate under similar principles.
Right,
perhaps.
But they all have the same power source.
They all have the same power source. And we're also dealing with, if you think about the laws of technological progression, you think of Moore's law and you think of how things accelerate. You've got to think that if this civilization is who knows how many years more advanced than we are, if not even years. I mean, we're thinking about it in terms of conventional terms, right? The way we look at the world. I mean, they might be just superior in terms of their intellect. They've got to be. Maybe. We don't know, right?
Well, the reason I say that is because, look, everyone doesn't necessarily start at a steam engine and go to an internal combustion engine and then, electric power, nuclear power, and go up the ladder that we come on. The binary, if the stuff is true about the origin and the binary star system, and they have heavier elements that we don't have, and this stable element 115 is a naturally occurring material, maybe that's the first thing they started experimenting with. And the version of their steam engine, their first product, was something that operated like this. And actually, when they came to Earth to look around, or, whatever, they were amazed at the stuff we were doing. These guys burned stuff and squirted out the back to go forward. So, who says they follow any kind of normal progression like that?
My thought was, if you went back to the 1400s and then you went from 1400 to 1500, you're not going to see that much of a difference technologically.
Right.
If you go from 2000 to 3000, I assume there's going to be a radical change.
Right. Well, yeah. The delta, the rate of change is magnificently higher than it used to be.
Right. So if you think about what they had in 1988 and you think about what they probably have in 2019, just logically, it seems like they would advance.
I would think so.
The only question is, are they living? Is that a living thing in terms of a biological thing, or are they some sort of an artificially created creation like we are working on right now? I mean, we're in the middle of working on artificial reality, artificial beings, sentient beings, artificial intelligence. There's silicon-based life forms that they're essentially trying to create. Boston Dynamics at the company?
You can make machines out of flesh, right? So a cyborg or a cybernetic organism is just that, that's what a lot of people think those gray things are, that people call the grays.
Yeah.
Is they're machines printed from flesh. So what you're saying is not
well, they
so
could just synthetic life. They even need to be machines.
Right.
Well, they seem to have no sex organs. The way they're described by people that have had interactions with them, assuming these people aren't liars or crazy or whatever.
Right.
that they have no sex organs and that they don't seem to have any muscle. They're just almost like a frame,
right?
And they have enormous heads. I mean, if you look at Australopithecus or depictions of ancient hominids, and then you go to human beings, one of the things you see is bigger heads and weaker bodies.
Well, you see a clear progression of evolution where for something like that, I would lean towards a synthetic organism because it looks like it was made for a specific task. There's no reproductive organs, so I mean that almost kind of leaves out any kind of physical evolution.
Right. Well, that's also our bottleneck, right? Our bottleneck is our biological imperative. The need to breed, emotions, fear, anxiety, all these different things that exist in order to force us into making sure we reproduce. I mean, that's essentially what it is. There are human reward systems that aren't necessary once they can figure out a way to make some sort of sentient artificial life. Some sort of thing that doesn't have these biological limitations that we have.
By the way, these craft, all different kinds have been reported because it was confusing. I always thought of flying saucers what I heard Bob Lazar talk about, flying saucer, right? But if you look back in history, people have always reported the weirdest shapes. Like, none of them are alike. There are the saucers, but you got cigar-shaped, you got the top hat shaped, you have orbs. Why? Maybe they're serving different purposes. They're doing different things like we'd use different tools. And I want to be clear, the reason I know that memo is real is because I spent a lot of time with Dr. Edgar Mitchell, sixth man to walk on the moon. Last guy to film him before he died, right? That's how I know. I don't want any journalists thinking I got it from anywhere else. I know because of Dr. Mitchell, and he said the same thing. Maybe these things are performing different tasks, And that's why
they seem, if you think about what an alien is in terms of the sort of iconic image of an alien, like the Steven Spielberg Close Encounters of the Third Kind alien, they seem like what we'd assume a human being would eventually become.
Right.
And if these things are tiny, human beings are smaller than they've ever been before. They're weaker than they've ever been before. And there seems to be a trend in that direction. And this trend seems to be amplified by our technological progression. There are a lack of need for muscle strength and our lack of need for violence. And we're moving in a society to try to get away from all the things that we think are abhorrent about human beings and the terrible behaviors that we have. If we one day do give birth to some sort of an artificial being, like Marshall McLuhan's quote, "We are the sex organs of the machine world." That one day we...
Okay, I'll pass.
Yeah, McLuhan was brilliant. And that quote has always been one of my favorites because, okay, what are we doing when we're constantly technologically innovating? We're constantly looking for faster cars, better computers, bigger screens, faster, more resolution, more pixels, more this, more that, higher bandwidth, 5G, 10G.
Right.
What are we doing? We're moving into this, if you just follow it, objectively stand back, don't attach yourself or your civilization, your culture to it, and look at what it is. We're moving 100% towards technological innovation. If you looked at this species from afar, and if you weren't a part of it, you would say, well, what does this species do? Oh, they make things. They make things better every year. Beehives are the same fucking thing that you see 10 years ago. You go by, you see a beehive, it's amazing, it's cool, but they're the same fucking thing. They figured out how to do it, they make a beehive.
Right.
We don't do that. We make better things.
What would you
constantly?
And I think that technology is going to fuse with us.
Yes.
And we're going to become...
It's already happening.
Yeah.
Elon talked about it on my podcast, that we are cyborgs. You just carry it in your pocket. It's a phone. It answers any question you want. You can talk to it. It'll give you the answers instantaneously. It navigates you. It has all your phone numbers in it. It has all your contacts. You can get a hold of people. People are listening to you through it. It's connecting us in ways even involuntarily.
Haptics, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's also getting on your wrist. How many people have iWatches, Apple Watches? They put them on their wrist.
Right. And that's only because we can't integrate them yet. But that point is coming.
I didn't joke about it last night, but I have a bit about it that I do, about the integration between humans and technology.
What would you do if you were hyper intelligence, right? Would you do the work yourself, or would you create some cool things called like humans to do it for you? Would you create things that are cybernetic organisms to come in with machines and do it for you? If you were a hyper intelligence that has kind of changed like you've described, you'd probably create workers, right?
Well, that's a vast conspiracy theory. It is a kind of a conspiracy,
I'm
right?
asking you.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily that. I mean, you could look at it that way, but that is the way a conspiracy theorist would look at it. The way I would look at it is like there's obviously a progression going on, a biological progression. There's some sort of an integration with technology. There's some sort of imperative, this need for technological innovation. It's inescapable. Everyone has it. And I think it's attached to materialism in some sort of a strange way, because so many people work so hard to get new things. And like, God, that seems so illogical and preposterous, and it makes people unhappy, and depression's on the rise, but nobody seems to be able to stop it. Like, why is that? Well, maybe it's because we are the electronic caterpillars that give birth to the butterfly. Maybe that's what we're doing.
That
Maybe
could very well be.
What our job is to make some sort of a cocoon, and we don't even know we're doing it while we're doing it. Do you think a caterpillar is aware? Like, hey, caterpillar, what are you doing? Man, I'm doing my thing. It's my job. I have to make a cocoon. Then I'm going to become like a butterfly.
This could be a natural part of evolution.
Could be.
That we're just supposed to do this.
Exactly.
And make the jump to some sort of mechanized.
Right.
Yeah,
Have you ever
non-biological.
seen an orangutan that is fishing with a spear?
No.
They've figured out how to fish with spears. There's primatologists.
Wait, without somebody showing them how to fish?
No, they've imitated human beings doing it, and now they do it, but they do it independently. They're not trained orangutans. They're wild orangutan. Look at that. There's a wild orangutan.
Okay, that's impressive. That's impressive.
Well, there's these primatologists. I guess you would call them primatologists. That's the term.
That's a great
biologists. Biologists that believe that monkeys and chimps and some of the great apes are moving into the Stone Age. That they've currently entered the Stone Age. Like, they're not staying what they were 100,000 years ago or 500,000 years ago, but they're actively using tools, and they're experimenting with different ways to use those tools. And then they're making tools out of stone. They're making tools out of sticks, and they're using them. Well, this might just be what happens. This might just be what happens. I mean, why else? Why the fuck do we work so hard? I mean, I was driving to L.A. this morning. I had a doctor's appointment, so I was on the 405 at 8 in the morning. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, this is so crazy. When you're on the 405 in L.A. at 8 o'clock in the morning, you see literally a million cars.
Yeah, red light.
And it's just everywhere you go, it's people. And also, I'm in a Tesla, so I have it on autopilot. So I'm there sitting, I'm listening to a podcast. I barely have my hand on the wheel. I'm not touching shit. This car's driving me along. I'm not even doing anything. I'm just hanging out. It's so much less stress, by the way, to do it that way.
Right.
So it encourages you to innovate. It
Yeah.
encourages you to embrace this new technology. I got this giant screen. It's showing me the navigation in front of me. Oh, I'll be there 5 minutes early. Excellent. And I'm listening to a podcast wirelessly. It's Bluetooth streaming from my phone, and I pulled that podcast, which came out today, out of the fucking sky, and I'm listening to it, and I'm all comfortable in my nice little car, just driving on my way to the doctor's office.
This is irresistible stuff.
Yeah. It's different than your man.
Yeah,
You know, back in the day.
It is irresistible. It is irresistible.
It's frighteningly irresistible.
But is it frightening? If you were a monkey, right? If you were an Australopithecus, would you go, man, I don't want to fucking be a person and live in a house? That's bullshit. I like just swinging around on trees. I like running from jaguars. This is life. Guys, life is running from crocodiles. It's not living in a fucking suburban
No, probably some that are like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think when it comes, we're going to embrace it. We're going to embrace it the same way you embrace cell phones, the same way you embrace television. There's going to be a few holdouts. I don't even have an email address, man. Those there's a few and far between. Good luck with that, fuckface. Go move to the woods, Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah,
go live in a
I was
cabin.
just going to Ted Kaczynski.
Oh, man.
Wow, Ted Kaczynski's right. This is something that I think about sometimes when I get really high. That Ted Kaczynski was a part of the Harvard LSD studies. This has been proven. Ted Kaczynski, they cooked his fucking brain when he was at Harvard. And then when he went over to Berkeley and became a professor, his goal was to make enough money so that he could implement this program and live in the woods and then write his manifesto and start killing people that were involved in propagating technology.
He was expunged from the Harvard logs, by the way. This is something my friend just called me about. So there's like this private library, and they used to print people's names whenever they were part of a university, and he was one of a handful of people that were expunged from it. I want to jump back to the one thing, Joe. I want to be very careful with that word conspiracy theorist. What I was saying to you was we terraform our Earth, right? We terraform, we change the environment, we do all this innovation. What is stopping us from thinking that that's not being done? I'm not saying it is. I'm saying what's stopping us from thinking that that's being done on a much bigger level, on a cosmic level.
You mean like aliens coming down doing that to humans?
No, I'm telling you, there is something here. There's a fact. There's something. They're a craft. They're here. They're not ours. They're here. So the question is, what is that about? And I'm just looking at what we do with what you're describing with technology.
Well,
and
it's much more likely that the same way we observe chimps and we observe that they are now in the Stone Age, that they're observing us, and that they're recognizing that there is a pattern, that there's steps that happen. I mean, Carl Sagan talked about the different levels of civilization, and that, that if we don't get past certain levels, we're never going to reach this.
Right.
I mean, we're
a
in
type
this,
1 civilization.
Yeah.
We're going to stay type 0.
Well,
yeah.
we're in this warring, polluting, pillaging.
We're awesome.
Civilization.
Humans are.
Well, I mean, we're awesome in a lot of ways,
But in that way, we're not.
Well, yeah, we're children that have immense power that we didn't really. The other thing is you're using the immense power that other people have created, right? I mean, even when you're driving a car, you're stomping on the gas like, woo! You didn't invent the fucking engine. You didn't invent tires. There's all these things that were involved in the creation of this thing that is really outside of your grasp of understanding, but yet you have the ability to use it. Like a person with a gun, I'm just gonna bang, bang, bang people. You didn't invent a gun, so like you've without the intellect to craft and engineer and manifest these creations, you just have access to them because you have paper or you have Bitcoin or you have whatever the fuck you're using a credit card. Now you have almost no responsibility. You could just flippantly use these things, which is why we were very childlike in our actions because we haven't had to earn the responsibility. We haven't had to earn these things that we've been able to have, and you've only been able to have them because other people have innovated and spent ungodly amounts of time and effort and focus in the lab to create these things, and then they've all put them together. And then what's the reason to put them together? To profit. Well, what's the reason to profit? Well, why are you doing this? So you can buy more things. Well, what are we doing? What are we doing? We're making better things. That's what we do. That's all we do.
That's all we do is make better things.
Yeah. Why the fuck do we need oil? Why do we need oil? Why can't we just burn wood and stay home? Why can't we grow chickens and food in the backyard? Why can't we do it? Well, we fucking can. We certainly can. People do it. But we decide to make that almost impossible. Our preferred way of living is to stuff everyone into a very small area where no one grows anything other than weed. And this is what LA is. LA is 20 million people with hard surfaces, as many hard surfaces as you can. Boy, if you got an acre backyard in LA, holy shit, look at all that green. This is amazing. Well, no, that's the fucking earth coming through this weird sort of creation that we've put on top of the earth. But the goal is that, like New York City, there's none of it. Right? You've got Central Park, and they just got human shit. Human stacked up. No one's growing anything. And then constant work. Everyone's up early. Go, go, go. Innovate, progress, make that money so you can buy more things. And every year, hey, Apple, where's this fucking new phone? As if your phone isn't good enough. Like your phone's taking pictures and videos, and people are calling you, and you got applications that tell you which way the wind's blowing. It's not good enough.
A blink of an eye, it's all gone, though, that, like 10,000 years and the Hoover Dam goes or whatever. Mount Rushmore disintegrates. So it's amazing because we have created that, and everything's trying to spring up through that. We keep it maintenance down, but we're a blink, man. Something hits.
But we don't think that way. Well, you think in terms of your own life, right? You think in terms of what you want and what you need right now. We are, in many ways, this combination of this weird, primitive, ape-like thing with the ability to calculate and manipulate our world and our environment that makes us wholly unique. On top of that, with existential angst and fear. So what do you do with that? We fucking water it down with antidepressants. Give these fucking people some shit that keeps them moving. Well, they're worried about the future. They're trying to figure out what reality is. You're on a goddamn convertible spaceship spinning 1,000 miles an hour, hurling through infinity. There's no meaning to this thing. Just keep making shit. Keep making stuff. And then one day, they're going to be able to hit that switch, and this life will be born out of innovation and thinking and progress and technology. And more than likely, it's probably going to be what we're seeing that these things are that you're observing.
I'm not observing.
Are you implying that they're us?
I think they are us, but I think they are what happens when things keep going. It's not us, just like we're not monkeys, right? I'm not a chimp.
Oh, that'd be
chimp
cool.
like.
Their fear is your idea.
No, that this is what happens
Yes.
all over the universe.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
This
Totally.
is what happened. Look, here's the thing. I went to see Brian Cox's. He has this amazing live show with Robin Ince where they have these LED screens, these huge screens with high resolution depictions of the cosmos. And one of the most mind blowing things was he has this large scale image of the universe, and it shows all the individual galaxies of the universe, and it just keeps moving through all these galaxies in 3 dimensions. And it's fucking incredible. But what's stunning is the relative uniformity of it, even at, you're obviously looking at an incredibly small depiction of something that's immensely large, like a galaxy of hundreds of billions of stars. You're seeing it as this little dot, but this little dot that's flying through space, surrounded by other little darts with very similarly spaced distances between
homogeneous all
them.
through, yeah.
So, Mike, if we see uniformity in that form, in terms of like the distance between galaxies, like so many galaxies, it's so similar. They might vary slightly, and that slightly might be hundreds of millions of light years, right? But there's so much uniformity. Why would we not assume that uniformity exists pretty much everywhere, and that all these things that you're seeing that are so similar, you do see binary star systems, you do see single star systems like stars, but there's also some speculation that Earth and that our solar system was one time was a bunch
of craft.
But you know the one I'm talking about? It's like, and
Yes.
that's the shape of it. It's also like a plate turned on its side, and then there's a person inside of it.
Yeah, man. It's
And
exciting.
it's flying through in that same. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, look
Yeah,
look
it's
how
incredible.
it's flying.
But the thing is that everybody can say art. The one above that's pretty cool because that was a hidden thing. I've studied that one where it says Discovery 15th century. Above her left shoulder, there is an object. You really zoom in, look at the dude staring up at it. As a painter, my wife is a painter. Everything is intentional.
Where's the guy? The guy on the
right over there. It's pretty
right,
cool.
Looking up.
So I think that's 15th century. It said. So the problem with this, Joe, is
Go to the original one, the one that we just saw. That. Yeah. See, get a big picture of that.
Yeah.
That is strange. Like
Yeah,
here
man.
you got Christ being crucified, and then above him UFOs. Like, is that supposed to be aliens, or is that supposed to be angels? Like, what is that supposed to be in these things that they have? It's real similar to what we're talking about here.
That's the argument of Miracle of Fatima, let's say. I mean, again, this is so splitive. We have a witness here of, Pilate, but when you see something like the Miracle of Fatima, if you look at that...
What is the Miracle of Fatima?
God, that's that one that was, considered a real miracle by the church, and the 3 kids were getting messages, I'll get this all wrong, but for like months that they're going to be visited and to bring people, and bigger groups gathered to where there was over 100,000 people.
What year is this?
1917.
1917. So, dozens of thousands, if not hundreds, but dozens for sure, see an event, a mass sighting of something that happened. We're talking people that were religious, people that weren't religious, doctors at the time.
That's not a real image, is it,
No,
Jamie?
that one was doctored a little bit, so you could see they're all looking at something.
But that's not real.
Yeah,
But that's
that thing wasn't really
that's
there.
the crowd. The crowd is real.
Yeah.
So
Picture the crowd
here's the
is
thing: people come out, some intense. Some people thought it was religious, that it was a visitation, but others saw it as technological, like something descended. Look into it. I'm just saying, art, pictures, like paintings we're talking about, man, you can interpret them all day. I can't hold on to that. I can hold on to an eyewitness with other eyewitnesses, with radar systems, and with video. We're in a different era now. We don't have to paint it, man. We get to see it. It's fascinating, man.
It is fascinating. It's way more fascinating when someone like you talks about it versus some fucking random kook. That's what makes me incredibly interested, is just your credibility and the fact that this is not, you don't have a history of seeing wacky shit that other people don't see.
No, just this one.
But it's on video, and that there's other ones as well. It's really strange. And I've seen people try to explain it away. And what I don't like about when they explain it away or attempt to explain it away is that they're trying really hard. They're not going, who knows what this fucking thing is? They're not looking at it like cleanly. They're looking at it like a quote-unquote skeptic. I don't like the idea of being a skeptic. Not that I don't think you should be skeptical of certain things. I certainly think you should be. But there's a lot of people that brand themselves as skeptics. And I think it's a lazy way to look at things. I really do. because I think you're just looking for the holes in things without looking at it objectively. If you wanted to be a scientist, if you wanted to be someone who is a fan of science, then you have to look at it as a thing. Like, look at this information and let's study this without any bias, any preconceived notions. I don't think they're doing that. They're looking at it and they're trying to find a way where they can justify that it's fake. And they're just doing all sorts of mental gymnastics to try to make it fake. That video that you show where that thing slips off to the left and takes off at incredible rates of speed, that alone should freak people the fuck out.
Yeah, because people confuse all the time. Like, we took the video. No, it was another crew that took the video. We watched it for 5 minutes with our eyeballs, and there was 4 of us, and we all have the same story. We all saw the same stuff. We all came back and looked at each other and scratched our head and said, WTF, I mean, serious? What was that?